Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. This video is not about HDR. I mean, not entirely about HDR. Of course, we're going to talk about HDR in Hellblade 2, but the main reason for this video is actually I like to talk about the game itself, and there are actually two reasons for it. So first of all, I finished the game, which is very unusual for me because my last game, what I finished was Resident Evil 2 Remake, or maybe Resident Evil 3 Remake. I can't remember, but it was a long time ago. And the second reason for doing a review on this game is right now you can actually just find two opinions about the game. One opinion is it's a masterpiece, and the second opinion is it's just crap. And I was very curious about the game, and that's why I actually played it on my own and I finished it, because then I can talk about it. But I can already see that this video will have a lot of dislikes because in my opinion, Hellblade 2 is not a masterpiece. And when we're talking about Game of the Year award, no way. So, the first thing I like to talk about is sound and music, and I'm a little bit disappointed about this. So, not in general, because sound effects, music, the voices in the game are just fantastic, absolutely mind-blowing. Especially the music, I was just absolutely blown away sometimes.
Your voices.
All the parts of you that are broken.
You can be whole. All the grief.
All the rage.
All the fear. Everything I've seen. Everything I've done has led me to this place.
We've come so far.
Not far enough. Say it.
You are ready.
Tell them. I am here. Now. What if we get lost forever?
What will happen to them?
What will happen to you? I will not let them down.
She is ready. They know.
So again, I'm not talking about the general quality from the voice effects or sound effects and music. So again, this is really on a very high level in my opinion. I'm talking about the 5.1 or digital mix. Because I was actually very disappointed about that. So I don't have a Dolby Atmos system, okay? I have a proper 5.1 system with proper floor speakers, proper rear speakers and center and stuff like that. So really a good system in my opinion. But the rear speakers are hardly in use in Hellblade 2. Hardly in use. I mean, there are scenes actually where you can hear a lot of effects actually coming from the rear speakers, but when you would expect it, there's actually nothing. So there was one scene in a cave where you get chased by something or whatever, or something like that. Okay, I can't remember entirely, but it was like that at some point you heard something running from the left side to the right side. Okay. Left, right, whatever, okay? But this was happening on the front speakers, okay? And the comment then from the voice, whatever, was something like, or something is chasing us, you know? And if something is chasing you, you would expect this behind you and not in front of you. I was absolutely disappointed because I couldn't understand who was actually thinking it is a good idea to have something running on the front from right to left, left to right, whatever, but not in the back. And then on the comments, you have actually saying something is chasing you. So this doesn't make sense at all, okay? And there was a couple of situations like that where I was just getting up from my seat and actually going to my rear speakers and see if there's something coming out, and hardly anything, really hardly anything, okay? There was a big storm and you can't hear anything from the rear speakers, okay? So, and it's not my setup, it's my setup is actually really good in my opinion, and with other games there's no problem. So sound mix, 5.1 sound mix in this game is actually really disappointing. Again, from a, how should I say, technical point of view in terms of voice, sound effects, music, this is really great, absolutely fantastic. But if they would put more effort in the 5.1 surround mix, this would be actually almost reference level. So now let's talk about the visual quality. And visual quality includes graphics, HDR, presentation and stuff like that, graphic design. And in this case, so let's put HDR aside for a moment. Let's just talk about presentation. Let's talk about art design. Let's talk about graphic, okay? And then also let's talk about 30 FPS on the Xbox, which by the way is this what you can see here right now, okay, Xbox material. In terms of presentation, this is, wow, absolutely amazing. I mean, no doubt about that. How they presented the game, how they actually included all the game mechanics, I mean, the few game mechanics what you have in this interactive movie is actually really, really great. And the art design, level design, or whatever you want to call this, is really fantastic. I like the colors right now, especially this part was one of my favorite parts, to be very honest. Okay, that's why I like to show it. And to be very honest, this is not HDR at the moment. In HDR on a proper TV, this looks absolutely amazing. Okay, so in regards of graphics, this is really not, you can't complain about that, to be very honest. If you play this game on a high-end PC, which I have here also, this is absolutely stunning, mind-blowing. There's no doubt about that, okay? On the Xbox Series X, on the other hand, I mean, 30 FPS, I have to say, I'm not a favorite of 30 FPS, but in this game it wasn't a big deal because it's a very slow-paced game, absolutely slow. But comparing this 30 with 60 FPS plus on a high-end PC, of course, 60 FPS plus is much better, okay? But it is really a stunning experience on the Xbox Series X as well. And now let's talk about HDR. And here we are where I have to complain a little bit. Because first of all, HDR is not perfect in this game. So first of all, on the Xbox Series X, the HDR system level calibration is still broken as far as I can tell, or at least when I recorded this video. That means the maximum peak brightness in this game is still up to 10,000 nits if there is something to show like that, okay? So this is a big problem because first of all, you will have a lot of clipping in those very, very high brightness objects, okay? But the general problem what I found with this game is that you have a lot of HDR black level crush, or the black level floor in general is on a perfect level, let's say like this, because there is nothing which actually wash out the picture, nothing at all. So even the bars here, they're absolutely black, okay? And I tested this on two TVs, on the LG G2 here and my S95C. There is no problem with raised blacks at all in this game. But you have a lot of crush in shadows, absolutely. With the standard factory setting 50, which is the brightness setting in the game, you hardly see anything in certain situations. Okay, and when you increase this setting, yes, you gain more details in shadows, which is good, but you also at the same time lose some color information and also maximum peak brightness and specular highlights. And that's also a problem because we have on the other hand a maximum peak brightness in very few objects up to 10,000 nits, which I showed in my HDR video. But in cases like this, it's actually limited to around 900 something 1000 nits, okay? And now when you increase the brightness to actually get more shadow details, you actually lose some maximum peak brightness in objects like that. And this is one of the most object what you have on the screen all the time. So you don't want to lose maximum peak brightness here, okay? So HDR implementation from a technical point of view in regards of the black level floor, great. Okay, contrast wise the game is really, really good, but black level crush is not nice, and the maximum peak brightness in specular highlights is also not on a very great level, because you would expect a little bit higher maximum peak brightness here, at least when you have then suddenly a sun on the screen which shows 10,000 nits. Okay, so it's a little bit anyway, not perfect implemented in my opinion. Anyway, I still recommend to play this game in HDR because the difference between HDR and SDR is just huge, because again, we don't have any issues with the HDR black level floor, and on top we have a much higher maximum peak brightness in certain objects. So again, HDR is okay, but not on a reference level. And now let's talk about the most important thing in a game, gameplay. And here, yeah, I don't know, that's it. There's not much to say. It's really just walking. 95% of the time you just walk and you listen to the story, which I can tell you I did like the story. I don't want to say anything about the story because you should experience this on your own. And either you like it or not. That's you know, that's how it is. But the game is very boring. To be very honest, very boring. I mean, whole time I mean, this is a puzzle section and stuff like that, and I finished it at some point, but you just walk the whole time, you know. Even you had a fight, then you walk to the next fight or whatsoever, you know. And the fights are scripted like crazy. I mean, sometimes there's something new. You can have a little bit of a different sequence in fights and whatsoever, but most of the time you have just scripted fights, and you press the same button at the not even at the right time, because this is also weird, because you can actually press a button, and if it's not the right time, nothing is happening. It's absolutely scripted, okay? So from a gameplay point of view, this game is absolutely boring, okay? If you like interactive movies, because that's what it is actually, okay? In my opinion, it's not a game when we compare this with other games, it's an interactive movie where you walk most of the time just straight, you know, and you press a couple of buttons and you do a little bit of puzzle. But most of the time you really walk and listen to the story, which is not bad in my opinion. But the game itself, it's really, really boring. And I had a hard time to actually finish the game, because you walk from one cutscene to another cutscenes, and that's the whole thing. What is happening, you know? One cutscene after the next cutscene. Well, it's just boring again. Okay. In terms of gameplay, it's just very disappointing. Okay, my friends, so that's it for this video. And again, I have very mixed feelings about this game, because from an audiovisual point, this is really a showcase with some disappointments in the HDR presentation and audio mix, okay, or audio implementation. But I think this can be fixed, or this should be fixed, okay? So in terms of that, it really shows what the Xbox Series X is capable of. And yeah, again, 30 FPS it's not my favorite, but again, it was okay in this game, okay? Of course, 60 FPS on the PC, it's a much better experience, but no problem to play this game with in 30 FPS. That's what I have done actually. 95% of the game I played in 30 FPS on my Xbox, connected to the S95C, which HDR enabled. And it was again, from an audiovisual point, it was an absolutely fantastic experience, okay? From a gameplay point of view, I was really hoping sometimes, hopefully the game is over now. Because it was just really one cutscene, the next cutscene, a little bit fighting where you press one or two buttons and then walking again. So absolutely boring. That's absolutely my opinion. The game is boring. You play this once and that's it. If you play this twice, I don't know what is wrong with you, because I don't understand. This is nothing else. You can't do anything. You can't upgrade your character. You can't use a different weapon. You can't even explore something. There is nothing, literally nothing. That's why the game is absolutely boring in my opinion. Audiovisual, again, great experience, but that doesn't save the game at all. Thank you very much for watching me, and I see you next time. Bye.